This is Steve Brule from Studio Brule, and I'm here live with the Liberty Bells, who are 5 ladies from London, England, who are cultural critics and analyzers of feminism. And we have 3 of them with us today, and we'll get straight into it with a topic about what's going on with Philip Davies and your election in Britain. Anybody want to jump straight in?
Sure. It is a real battle for the soul of Shipley, which is Philip Davies' constituency in Yorkshire. He's being challenged by Sophie Walker, the leader of the Women's Equality Party, live action, the non-feminist.
Yeah. But as Natty said, it's going to be a bit of a pantomime, isn't it? Or we can certainly turn it into a pantomime.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, it's already a pantomime. I mean, the mainstream media they've all got their knives out for Philip completely. They've been spreading lies and rumours, just writing the most obnoxious. Everything is about how he's a sexist and a misogynist. And, you know, this is coming from Sophie Walker herself as well. She's written, when she said that?
Your audio is dropping out, Elizabeth. I'm not sure why.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
For anybody who's not aware, Philip Davies is the fellow who wanted to change the name of a equality group in the government from women's equality to equality for everyone, or something like that. And Sophie Walker was the one who I think attacked him or wanted to shut down his desire to talk about men's issues on International Men's Day a couple of years back. Is that right?
Yeah, she's one of many MPs who has done that to Philip. I think maybe we should circle back and kind of start from the beginning, because maybe some people have no idea about the background of this situation and the ladies for Philip Davies' pressure grouping campaign.
Are any of them MPs in the Women's Equality Party? None of them have been elected yet, have they?
No. So, so I'll just quickly, I'll tell the story about Philip Davies briefly, and then what's happened recently with our pressure group. So Philip Davies is a Conservative MP in the UK, and he has been outspoken in talking about the feminist monopoly on government policy, such as violence against women and girls, and the targets set by CPS, and the disparity between men and women in the criminal justice system when they're being sentenced. That's one issue that he feels strongly about. And he pointed out that the Women and Equalities Office and the Women and Equalities Committee should not really be called the Women and Equalities Committee or Office. It should just be called the Equalities Committee, because that would represent real equality and not highlight women's issues over men's. And he's spoken out many times, and as a result of this, he's been called a misogynist. He's been called a national disgrace. He's been called a men's rights activist, which I don't think he would describe himself as a men's rights activist at all, to be honest, even though he's advocated for men's rights issues. So that's not correct. Obviously, the misogynist term isn't correct. He's also been criticised for filibustering, which in the UK, our MPs are not really allowed to do that in Parliament like they are in the US. I'm not sure about Canada, what their system is like, but I know that in the US it's a more commonly done thing. But he's had some success because he managed to get a debate in the House twice now on International Men's Day about men's issues. So the first year, not last year, the year before, it was in the not the main chamber, but the smaller one. I can't remember what it's called. And then last year he managed to get it in the main house, and it was poorly attended. And some of the people that did attend were some outrightly feminist MPs, and they heckled him and they treated him like a piece of shit on their shoe. And obviously in politics, MPs are treated in the public eye and in the media. There's always scandals and things happening. But if you have a look at the record of the way Philip's been treated compared to other people consistently, it's actually it's really disgraceful. And I in a way, I'd kind of like to do like a media data analysis of how he's been represented compared to other people. He's been targeted in the most profound way, and been allowed to get away with it. I haven't heard any public figures say anything in his defense. Have you guys heard anyone say anything at all? Like, let's be more reasonable. Let's not, just keep personally insulted an MP who has a policy you disagree with. I haven't heard anyone say that.
Well, not even. I mean, the headlines are all misogynist MP, sexist MP, tries to block, something on, protection of women and all this kind of thing. But there's no talk about why he was blocking it. The actual Istanbul Convention is trying to write feminist patriarchy theory into UK legislation.
Yeah, that's right. So,
or making something more illegal. You can't make something more illegal. It's already illegal. Domestic violence is already illegal. You don't need another, statute to say that it's even more illegal. It's just another. It's just a way for kind of like MPs to kind of virtue signal to each other and to that. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of time and it's a waste of money. It's already illegal. You don't need another one. And he seems to kind of be picking up on kind of virtue signaling policies and things like that in Parliament, like the thing with the passes for carers in hospitals. That's been jumped on as if it's and he's kind of, if you look into why he's doing it, he's saying there's already kind of legislation there. We don't need any more.
Yeah. He's generally the voice for common sense in a lot of these issues, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's just pragmatic. He
doesn't even play the identity politics game. And this is why I was saying that if he was talking to us now and we asked him if he was a men's rights activist, he would probably say no, because he likes to, as he said in the interview with us, he represents his constituents. And he said he likes to champion unfashionable causes. He said that he was an openly supportive of Brexit in 2005. At that time, no one else was. And when you hear him talk, he doesn't, as I said, he doesn't like to play this game of men against women and communist against non-communist and left against right and whatever. He's genuinely says the most common sense things ever, and it's really refreshing. I wonder, there's hardly anyone else out there that's like him. I guess with the Istanbul Convention, which people should go and Google now and have a look at, and maybe Elizabeth can sort of describe exactly what that is briefly in a second, but it was just him and one other MP who voted against it. When you have a look at the amount of power and control that this has over our law system without going through the due process that it's supposed to, it's really scary.
A theme in Europe with the European Economic Commission. Coalition or whatever, and the Brexit is that there's a recognition now that there's too many external bodies trying to control your internal laws. So, and that seems to be what's behind the impetus for Brexit, right? I wanted to just clarify a couple things here. Philip Davies is a Conservative MP. Now, I think earlier you mentioned Sophie Walker as a woman's party. Is that a real party in Britain, or is this like a party of one person, Sophie Walker?
Yeah, the Women's Equality Party. They don't have any seats. And so just to go back for a second, so we set up the Ladies Philip Davies pressure group because of all the MPs and the way they've treated Philip Davies. And then literally the evening before, on the Sunday night, and our interview was on Monday, Sophie Walker the leader of Women's Equality Party, announces that she's going to run against Philip Davies in Shipley for his seat, and then we get to interview him the next day. It was just kind of like the gift from heaven, in terms of it becoming topical and the general election really bringing these issues into focus for us. Because I wasn't even thinking, you know, I was talking to the girls about this idea before the general election was released, before we knew that was going to happen. So, you know, now that she's done that, Philip then went on the radio in the morning with her, and she just hardly let him get a word in edgeways, and neither did the presenter. And she's now framing it in a certain way where she's up against this misogynist, woman-hating MP that no one likes. And actually, as it turns out, she's stepping on all sorts of toes, because what she's done is she didn't consult the local feminist group who don't like Philip Davies. They're called the Shipley Feminist Zealots, because Philip Davies once called feminist zealots on TV. So they formed as a result of that. She didn't consult them, and they're not very happy with her, because she's asking the other parties to stand down to let her stand against Philip in a 2-horse race. And I'm assuming that they are supportive of Labour or the Green Party. Would you agree with me, Elizabeth?
That they're what, supportive?
Of Labour.
Well, I mean, you know, they're left-wing parties, and so they feel like they have some kind of kinship and alliance with them, and that's why they're asking them to step down.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that the feminist zealots in Shipley, that they support Labour, and so therefore Labour doesn't really want to support Women's Equality Party to step down, because Labour's in trouble, and we know that they want as many seats as possible, right?
I mean, you know, Shipley feminist zealots come out with any endorsements. I think that they, in politics, like Ladies for Philip Davies, you know, we kind of have slightly different politics and might vote for different people, but we all agree on certain issues around gender equality. And that's actually exactly the same as Shipley feminist zealots. We've got something in common with them, you know, and also the fact that, you know, I mean, I agree with them. I think it's absurd that the Women's Equality Party are parachuting in this woman from Southwark stand in Shipley, you know, especially when there is a grassroots movement. They should be picking someone from Shipley feminist zealots. Right.
Sounds like Sophie Walker is a one woman, all me kind of person.
Well, I was
everything about me.
Fine. I was trying to find a tweet on the Sophie for Shipley hashtag, because there is one that says how many members they've got, and I think they've got something like 650,000 members or something stupid. So they do have a lot of support sort of around the country.
That's the Women's Equality Party?
Yeah.
So how is it that a party can go in? I mean, clearly the Women's Equality Party really is only interested in half of the population. I mean,
not even that.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, they're only interested in those half of the population who are feminist supremacists.
Yeah.
But like, how does a party like that get any support at all? Like, it really speaks very poorly for those women of Britain who don't rise up and say, we won't accept a bigoted party in our country.
I think Belinda wrote about this in Conservative Woman, and she said, because Belinda lives in the same kind of really kind of middle class, really posh kind of suburban London that most of these kind of these women come from, and they're all very upper middle class women with, you know, with husbands, either lesbians or with very rich husbands. They've all got kind of media contacts. They're all really kind of in the beat. I mean, the kind of coverage they've had for a party with no representative or kind of members that have been voted in. They've been on the BBC. They've been in every mainstream newspaper. And they've just been allowed to kind of just run riot with this kind of narrative. And it's ugh.
Well, the clear thing here is that it's a party based on your physical biology. So it's no different than saying this is the in China, let's say, this is the Chinese persons only party, or this is the white supremacist Aryan German blue-eyed blonde-haired person's party. You know, if you're a women's party, obviously you're not for men. And all the men, they're telling the men, they're going like this to the men. Hey, fuck you. You don't belong in our country. Maybe that's a bit extreme, but comments on that?
They're trying to, I think they're trying in one of the interviews, wasn't she trying to say, oh, we do speak for men, we do. But then in the next instance, I think, Natty, when you said Jess Phillips was there, when Philip Davies was trying to talk about male suicide, Jess Phillips is in the House of Commons just sniggering and laughing and heckling. And so
Jess Phillips.
At one point, they're kind of saying, oh, no, they're just lying, basically. They're just lying. Just to, because that's what they do.
Well, I did read Sophie Walker said that we stand and represent all women. And there was no qualifier to that when that statement that I read. Mm-hmm. Nothing to say that, oh, and maybe something for men too. There was nothing like that.
There's only 7% of men and women in the country who identify as feminists. So I don't know who most people they support egalitarian values, but they don't support feminism because they know exactly what feminism is, and they know it's the opposite of of trying to find some kind of stability and work-life balance and a healthy relationship with your partner. It's the opposite of that. Feminists just want to pit men and women against each other, which is not what actually people want.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think people do know what feminism is. And I think that despite an army of anti-Philip propaganda that's going on in the mainstream media, I think that, you know, just like with Trump and just like with Brexit, we're going to see again that the mainstream media is an absolute paper tiger, and people are going to vote common sense, really, and for liberty. And
so when is the election?
The 8th of June.
Would you folks consider reaching out to Sophie Walker and interviewing her?
Well, we have.
Yes, we have.
What was her response?
Nothing. Silent.
Yeah. But we're going to send an email as well, right?
Yeah, we'll send an official email.
Are these candidates having any kind of public forum before the 8th?
Yeah, so there will be what we call the hustings. That will be in the next few weeks. Where are we now? We're on the beginning of May, so it's normally 3 weeks before the election. I'm not entirely sure whether we will get to film that particular event or be involved in it in certain ways. However, the campaigning does provide us with opportunities to have some public conversations with Sophie Walker and the feminist zealots as well.
Yeah, do you know what we should take a hint or kind of a strategy that the suffragettes did, and just go along to the Women Inequalities meeting and just hold up our banners and say, what about votes for men, or men's rights, or, you know, carry on Philip, things like that.
I'm kind of disappointed that Belinda's not in this conversation right now, because she has such a great opportunity.
She's a reporter.
She's in the belly of the beast. So Steve, she lives in an area of London which is kind of like Brooklyn, in the sense that it's a gentrified area of London, and where all the champagne socialists live. And in fact, like half of the media live in East Dulwich in South London. Or, you know, every other house is owned by a journalist or someone in the media or in a related field like that. And she's literally surrounded by women who are either strong feminists in the Labour Party or in the Green Party, or members of the Women's Equality Party, or they work for them. So you know, it's really interesting because to do something like that, I think that kind of stunt we could do something like that. You know, what do you think, Elizabeth? I'm up for it. I'm the one who doesn't mind going out there and causing a bit of ruckus.
Yeah, I mean, going to Shipley here, right?
Well, yeah, that was.
Oh, we're definitely going to go to Shipley. That's definitely happening.
We're going to go to Shipley,
but we
with our
can't
ladies
release any details about that yet. We don't know what they are
Make
yet.
it. I would love to.
When do you think you'll be doing this?
Ladies Philip Davies t-shirt.
When do you think you'll be doing these actions?
Well, in terms of us going to Shipley, I'm just waiting for Philip Davies' campaign manager to tell me what's going on. And as soon as I know, then we can make a plan. So right now, it's just on hold. We're just waiting for more information. But in terms of going and sort of trolling the Women's Equality Party, that can be separate. We could talk about that today.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, has anyone in the chat got any ideas? Have you got any ideas, Steve?
I got an idea. Yes. All viewers there, send me some money to go to England and I'll cover it.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Seriously, why not? Why not?
I am serious. I'm dead serious on this. It's very interesting, and I think it's a prime and useful way for the Liberty Bells to
infiltrate,
bring some weight in the world.
Yeah, I'm going to go to a university meeting tomorrow that's about creating safe spaces on campus and protecting women and girls against sexual assault, not men or anything like that. But yeah, I'm gonna go to this meeting and see what kind of a ruckus I can cause.
Is this the one that's all against lad culture as well?
Ugh.
Yeah, basically, I looked into all of the writing about the reports, basically, and it's blaming lad culture. Basically, it says there's no evidence whatsoever that lad culture kind of makes sexual assault more likely, but we don't like it anyway. So we're kind of suggesting to the university administrators that they do something about it, even though it doesn't kind of have any effect on anything. We just don't like it. So yeah, so it's going to be lad culture is going to be under attack, even though there's no evidence to support their assertions. Yeah, so that'd be interesting.
What about all the women that want to be the models in these lad magazines that hardly exist anymore, by the way, as you know? What about all the women that want to do that?
Well, exactly. It's kind of not everybody can have beauty and brains like us. Do you know what I mean? Some women some women have to just rely on their beauty. It's
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, feminists shouldn't discriminate about them. You can make a good living out your boobs. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
I don't think many feminists could.
I don't think Jess Phillips could.
They're not wearing the bras, no. Yeah.
Can you? I don't even want to think about what her boobs look like. I don't care if she ever sees this. I bet her boobs are horrible.
That's the other interesting thing about Shipley. Shipley's actually quite near to Jess Phillips' constituency, you know.
Oh. Maybe we should go to a surgery and just turn up in her office and just have a chat about what she thinks about the Women's Equality Party running against Philip, or just generally why she thinks he's a misogynist. That's an idea.
Just come out, actually. Jess Phillips has just come out and said that Labour should have an all-woman shortlist.
Yes.
I saw that. That's quite interesting. The Labour Party itself wants to put forward only female candidates. Is that right? Did I read that right?
Yeah. I think their catchphrase was...
I think they're split, yeah.
Women make better decisions. But again, I've looked into the report that's based on and haven't been able to find any evidence to back up that statement whatsoever.
No, I don't think anybody has found evidence for that. And we had that same argument.
Quote from Sophie, sorry, she says the Women's Equality Party is about creating the kind of politics where women and men are heard equally. So having a all-women shortlist,
Yeah,
how
women
does that
vote.
make women and men to be heard equally?
I think the all women's list was from the Labour Party, not the Women's Equality Party.
No, but I'm saying that the Women's Equality Party, even though they are not the Labour Party, they obviously only have women in their shortlist too because they're the Women's Equality Party. So in just implicitly they would support that.
But they still think that women voting for a male candidate doesn't matter, that they're not having a voice when they vote for a male women are voting, and they're voting for the candidate that they think is the best candidate. They're not voting because of what's between their legs.
No.
What's in their head. So
we've got about 4 minutes left. Did we want to touch on any topics? Any other topics? I remember there was someone mentioned Tommy Robinson in the Rebel Media. There was something going on there, and then there was an issue with Kate Smith, feminist activist comedian. Any of these topics?
Paula, you should talk about her.
I've just been having a funny conversation. There was I can't remember who it was, but someone on my Facebook feed is a reporter, and he's written something saying, "Is cultural appropriation okay?" Basically, and it's a kind of defense of cultural appropriation, and because that's how ideas spread through the cultures kind of coming together. And Kate Smurthwaite, who's a feminist activist, stroke kind of comedian, well, she's a card-carrying kind of Marxist feminist as well, disagreed with that. So I said, oh well, I kind of commented and said, yeah, that you would say that, Kate, because you're a Marxist feminist. And she blocked me for calling her a Marxist feminist, even though that's exactly what she is, a Marxist feminist.
Well,
So,
it's a good point there, because you notice that when you have conversations with those feminists and generally people on the left, although I'm using the left as a broad term here, once you get to a point where they can't circle around, they can't distract, they can't move the point on, they can't straw, and they can't answer what you're saying, then they ignore you, they block you, and so I think when you mentioned Tommy Robinson, the reason I was talking about him earlier is because he's now reporting for Rebel Media, and I think it's glorious that this kind of laddish working class geezer, who has some complaints about Sharia law and Muslim culture in a place called Luton where he lives. He has been defined as a white supremacist and that he's on the far right in the media. And he went into the offices of Quilliam recently, who wrote an article in The Guardian calling him a white supremacist, and they were sticking up for certain Islamic tenets in their culture. And he just confronted the journalist and the editor face on. And the reason I'm doing this is because whenever I try and stick up for myself, they won't give me a platform. So I have to come to the office and I have to come and invade your space because you keep slandering me. And this is the kind of thing that happens now. As you were saying, the Women's Equality Party, they get given all this attention. And then the critics like Philip Davies, they get nothing. So I just think that it's interesting times we're living in, because there's people like us and there's people like him who feel we literally have to go out there and take this into our own hands.
We want to have a healthy debate, but
exactly,
mainstream just won't have it.
Well, the mainstream has been completely taken over by the left-wing thinkers, right? Sorry to interrupt you there, Paula. I wanted to make the point that I think it's the mainstream is so infected by these Marxist leftist feminists that there's no recovering it. This is now what we're seeing now starting, what you described is media against media. Media who want to cover things more broadly, and the mainstream media who has a stronghold and owns just about everything, absolutely refusing to report on anything except from an extreme leftist Marxist point of view. So it's a media war, media against media now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry, what were you? I think I interrupted your thought there somewhere. I apologize for that, Paula.
Oh, it's gone. I don't know.
Sorry. And we've lost Elizabeth now. She did mention earlier she had to leave by this time, 3
She's
p.m.
got to pick up her kids.
time. Sorry?
She's got to go and pick up her kids from school.
Right.
Mm.
So is there anything else you ladies want to talk about today?
No, just ask people to kind of check out the. We did a live stream with Honey Badger Radio on Monday, was it, Nettie?
Yeah, it was on Monday. And they've put an edited version on the channel now.
Yeah, but the longer version's better. It's on my Twitter. It's on my Twitter page.
Twitter feed. Okay, we'll get that in the description of the comments here as well when we go offline.
Okay, and just really to watch this space really, because we have got we've got a lot to do and lots planned. So just keep coming, keep checking up on what we're doing, and everything will unfold as and when. And Steve, I mean, I guess we have some content that we want to release soon, so look out for that as well on the Liberty Bells channel.
And do subscribe to the Liberty Bells channel. It's a separate channel from Studio Brûlé now, but the content, at least for the time being, will be posted on both channels. We need to get the views up on the Liberty Bells channel before we can even monetize that and get some momentum going for that Liberty Bells channel. So look over at the channel is called The Liberty Bells. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do.
Yes.
Okay, and go and follow Ladies for Philip Davies on Twitter. But more importantly, go and follow Philip Davies and just tell him how much you support him. The more people that publicly speak out in support of him and they, and don't accept these terms that he's a misogynist and a national disgrace, the better, really. Yeah,
definitely. So thank you. That's it for today. Thanks, viewers, for joining us. And we intend to make this a weekly affair, about a 30-minute chat update from London, England, with the Liberty Bells. So thanks, and tune in next week. And look for the Liberty Bells channel.
Bye.
Bye now.